Okay, so really quick, you can you give the listener a quick recap of where you're at? You and I have had our first, 10 sessions were epic, really intense. You were having a
Yeah,
very
4 hour
hard time
marathon.
accepting the weight gain that you'd experienced, right? You,
Yeah.
you had gained how much weight?
I have no idea. But that's the question. I have actually no clue. And you know, I was telling you today that I have stepped on I bought this, really high end um Jillian Michaels iFit treadmill that I wanted. And I bought it a long time ago and rarely used it. And so today I was, it's getting humid out, and I thought, I feel like getting some oxygen in my body. So I went up and I set it up, and it asked, how much do you weigh? And I'm like, I have fucking no idea. I don't have a clue how much I weigh.
Hmm.
The last time I weighed myself, I weighed 200 pounds, which was when you and um, we were in our communications before. And I mean, could it be 230, 220, 240? I have no idea. So my thought to weigh myself came up today because I thought, you know what? I wonder how distorted the reality really is because I overblow everything like it's so drastic. So it was just this thought like, oh, I wonder if I should just weigh myself to see what the hell the number is, to see what my brain what kind of
Hmm.
drama my brain concocted, and I didn't
Well,
because I've kind of let it go, but there was the question was on there on my iFit to set it up, and how tall are you and what's your age and all that shit, and I put 220 because I totally guessed, so I have no clue, but I would
hmm,
just probably somewhere there.
yeah.
Who
So
knows?
when we started to work together, you were 200 pounds. What was your previous weight? But your thinner weight
I had hovered between. You mean? Oh,
before you went
so
to
I
California.
was between 188 and 207 is kind of where I would always kind of stay. 188 would be low, and 207 I was rarely ever there.
Got it.
Um, so
So we had this.
when I got
So we got to where you had to go. We went through the whole going through all of the pain and anguish of letting go, right? And
yeah,
you had said that you had come to a point where you were like, I am done. I am done working with Robin. I cannot do this, right?
yeah, I remember I was pulling. I was at the gas, and I was looking for some bigger clothes because none of my clothes fit me anymore, and I was pulling things off the shelf, looking at things, saying, what could I wear, and I was just like, God, I'm so tired of this. Just like around will just like all the tapes, all the things in your mind that go through like the quick fixes and the get me back on track, etc. Blah blah blah. And then I went into the bathroom and put on a bathing suit, and I looked at myself and just started crying. And I got so pissed off, like, fuck this, I'm gonna do a round. There's no possible way. And I had already succumbed to saying that like a week before with you, and didn't. I elected not to do it because we had talked about that was the easy way out, and I knew what that door was going to bring
Hmm.
to me. It was going to bring me back here, just delayed. So I was sitting, and I just felt so trapped because I knew that door B, going down the protocol when I wasn't ready, was just going to bring me back to more of this pain and anguish and, losing weight and gaining it back again. So I
Even though
just
that
sat in
was
there
the
and I just
easiest
started
door to
crying.
open, right? That was the easiest door for you at that time, and that's what we had talked about. It would be so easy just to do another
Yeah,
round and not have to face these issues that you and I had
yeah,
practiced doing it. We had practiced visualizing, sitting in that space, making, facing people, making fun of you. We had practiced that together, but this was really
yeah,
the first time that
yeah.
you did it
On my
intentionally
own.
and willingly on your own with your own heart guiding it.
Yeah.
Then it became very different response. Even though you could say, would you say that with the work that we did together and the visualizations that we did in terms of what it was going to feel like and how that guidance through it, you may have felt better. you may have actually felt like, wow, that's like recovery. It was but it didn't really absorb because it wasn't your will to do it. It was mine. Right.
Well, it was. I mean,
But
while I was in it, it seemed, it seemed kind of like I was mechanically doing it. But when it happened to me, and I was stuck in that box in that room, I was like trapped in there, like, oh my god. And it's like you see two roads, one road this way or one road that way. And I remember just putting my clothes on and saying, fuck this, I'm not doing this again. Fuck you. Not listening to you. I am going to get my clothes on. I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to accept my life this way. You're not going to do this to me. I'm not listening to you anymore.
Yeah, I'm not escaping this feeling. I'm not running away.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very empowering. And then I actually visualized the type of day that I was going to have. And ever since then, I've just been in like this role of, and don't get me wrong, there's moments when that little shit thing comes back and wants to pry into everything. And I see it there, and I'm like, just go away. Just go away. It's getting so much smaller. And the only thing I can say is before, had I ever thought that I would have a voice that could, first of all, if I ever thought that I could not be obsessed with food, like, or even think about food, like, that's just the first thing. But the second thing is just to be able to look at this big part of me that had me, like, just, had me just by the, what. I mean, my voice is bigger than that voice now, and it still bothers me that it's there, but it's like, it's diminishing, and I feel like it feels like it's drowning, and it's drowning out like a spoiled child wanting to like scream because it's not getting attention. And I feel like, I'm constantly trying to just, nope, you're not important anymore, you're going away. That it's, like the smoking thing. I smoked a long time ago, and when I quit, every time I had an urge, I'd say, no, it's disgusting, it's expensive, it's bad for your health, and you don't want that anymore. And those 4 things got me through it, and I would take a fake drag of a cigarette, and I'd breathe it in real deep, and I'd exhale, and by that time it would pass. And I would just have to do that over and over, and, until I quit smoking, and I did it. So I feel like this is kind of almost on that, it's like that quick to just want to go down that road.
Yeah, the problem is you shouldn't be having to convince yourself. So recovery does not require you convince yourself that you don't want it. You have to actually not want it. So with the cigarettes, you did not want it, but it did take you convincing. This is different. This is an absolute self-image. This is identity issues. And when it comes to the illusion that thinnerness is betterness, it shouldn't take convincing for you. Right? You may go, well, first of all, there's the diet infomercial. Look how they're creating the fantasy that does not exist. So there shouldn't be like, you shouldn't have the same like draw to it. It should be funny. Like,
yes, it is. I'm noticing that how many times I'm noticing, oh my God, that's such a joke, or God, that's awful that they're doing that, or
that they're doing that instead of So instead of it being like, oh, I wish I could do that, but oh, poor me. I can't do it anymore because my body doesn't respond and it sucks. That type of, it shouldn't be that anymore. So it should feel different than the smoking in that you don't see the illusion anymore. The illusion has no power. The fantasy of thinness doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And even if it did exist, you've rejected it. You'd rather not have it. It takes too much of your entire being and soul and space and self-centeredism that you cannot afford to have an ounce of energy for anybody else on this planet but yourself and your diet, right?
Yes. And we talked about that. Like I remember one of the tapes we listened to, the gal that was on it, you had approached her about doing like the protocol and whatnot, and she was like, oh no, I don't want to do it. And she was like, she was in a place where I was like, wow, that's amazing that, that she's in that space. And for me, like, I can totally now relate to not wanting to ever have to deal with that energy again. Or, that You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I could see the value in it, because then like, if you really can do that and keep the perspective that this has nothing to do with your weight, that you're, giving a gift to your body, like by, whatever the reasons that you're doing it, but mentally that you stay and focus with, that you're really getting in touch with your, with your eating and all of that stuff. It just is a totally different. It's a whole different reason why.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like I like the space I'm in. It's like so. It's calm. I feel calm, and I think before I've lived in probably for the last 30 years with my fingers in a light socket.
Yes.
Where someone rubs me the wrong way, and I get goosebumps and chills, like I'm ready to bash someone's head in anger.
Yeah, like super fight or flight. Yeah, super survival mode, defensive, and always positioning yourself above people. That's something you mentioned too, is that not just judging people because of their weight, but the other things that you really tried to, just to try to make yourself feel superior. So
better.
In your own head. It's like trying to compensate. You had said, I must have been so small inside, so small that I made these things so big and had to use everybody else in comparison to why I am better and bigger. So, and the other thing that has been an unintended consequence of this recovery is that your relationship with your husband has changed in such a good way, right? You're physically connecting more. You have had a heart-to-heart with him, and you had said that I am madly and deeply in love with him on a totally different level, where before how would you describe it before?
Like, I'll probably cry because I feel so guilty of how I've treated him, but I loathed him, but it was me I was loathing. And when I actually, let go of all of that, I realized, like, the capacity for love that I have, and it opened, like, honestly, it was like magic. It was like a freaking, like, snap of the fingers, and all of a sudden, it's like all that anger and upset. And I mean, we've felt it before, like when we get in a big fight, you'd make up for, and everything would kind of feel like it was forced away. But then, of course, all of that, my stuff, and I would project onto him my anger and my resentment toward my life, and nothing's going right. And of course, for me, nothing was going right, because I could never fucking hold up to the standard of being perfect.
Yeah, and everybody else was held to those perfective standards too, because they had to meet the fantasy of the way your family should look and what a husband should do, not allowing them to just be. Right?
Yeah.
So
sex, I mean, like, it was non-existent before. I think it was probably 6 months the last time, and I think after, probably a week after I got home, I really started telling him and sharing with him about our consultations and how we've been talking, and, he's been totally wired into the whole health diet, because we have been, down that bandwagon, like, oh my God, cancers and this and sugars, and of course going filtering down to our kids. And so now we're working on our language now, and when I approached him, I said, listen, I'm learning a lot right now, and I'm learning that my whole diet mentality has been really, really influencing, not only for me and making me suffer, but also for the kids. And I think for us, the best gift that I think we can give them is to not to place these judgments on foods, and just to eat to hunger, and really just try to be be neutral about everything. There's no, like, you can't have those. And then I really in depth talked to him and told him what I learned from you, and how it's worked for me, and how I've been binging at all, and I said, just try it with me, just for the next, because he eats like a pig. He always says I eat with my eyes, and I said, okay, well, maybe you just eat with your eyes, because you think that buffets, forget it. He overstuffs himself, because he grew up where his mom's like, you always have to eat what's on your plate, and so he's just like this guy who's like, oh my God, I want to eat more and more. So now I haven't checked in with him, but this, he's enjoying this. I've cooked some, like, I go to the store and I buy what I want to eat. So we've had French toast. I don't eat like 5 pieces. I eat 1 piece, there, and I'm making it, and we've had a lot of variety, and I've been enjoying cooking. So it's just completely. It seems like this is so the way it's supposed to be. And as a person that was on the other side of this, looking in at other people, you just can't imagine the joy that people have because we were suffering so badly and so unhealthy about everything.
Yeah, don't you agree that it becomes normal? That suffering becomes normal. You don't know anything different. And so it's the way you're functioning. Even though you can say you knew there was something wrong, you've reached out for a lot of help, you've been to a lot of counseling, you've gone to a lot of support groups, right? You thought...
Yeah, I tried a lot of different things.
Yeah, but now that you have this other space of being to compare the other one to, can you see how unnatural the way you were, and the way you were functioning, how unnatural it was?
Yeah.
And how that would cause physical disease. That ultimately you can feel like your hand's in a light socket. But that type of constant fight or flight, constant overreaching to try to feel better about it, that's the narcissism. And the pressure to just want just the fantasies of feeling better. I mean, that's the other thing. Can you see, because you were living in a constant state of crap, that that's why you fantasize about what it would take. Maybe if it's perfect, I'll feel better. Maybe if I'm thinner, it'll go away. Maybe if my husband was a better person, I'd be happier. You know how you're just in a continuous battle to just try to find a way of being that will allow you to relax, but the way that you're going at it is causing the problem, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, blaming your weight is an issue, even though we could say you're not naturally supposed to be this big, but blaming your weight, even at the size it is now, was perpetuating the problem. And fantasizing about the thinness is just a fantasy, because it requires that you go back into that light socket just to diet. You know, the dieting causes so much of that panic, anxiety, fight or flight. It's just amazing to me too how it is literally a shift of awareness that happens like this. It is so fast. The moment you surrender to that fear, the pain, the anguish, the loss, it is just like poof, gone, and you exist in this state that is calm, boring, not I say boring relative to how it used to be, which is constant drama and chaos and movement and shifting and overworking, and you know, and in this space it is way more relaxed. It's what you thought would happen when you were thinner. This is what you were chasing. This is the mirage that you were chasing when you thought that your husband needed to change, when you thought that your house needed to be nicer, when you thought your kids needed better education, when you needed those brand new shoes, when you needed to drink that alcohol or smoke that cigarette. This is what you were chasing. But right now, you have it continuously with nothing. Same job, same husband, same house, same kids, you know, eating food now. You're eating variety of food, no restrictions, no shame, no guilt. You're not impulsively binging anymore. What happened to your binges? I mean, that's the funny thing. We haven't even talked about the binge eating issues. You know, this whole time, all we've just...
the first call it stopped.
Well, the first call, I said, that's not the problem. We just need to ignore that. This will end up being super easy. We don't need to work on it. That's the easiest part. Go into this. Most people who come to me are shocked because they truly believe they're sugar addicted. They have food addiction. They think that they have this terrible disorder. They think they're genetically predisposed because of everything they've been taught and told. What made you any different, right? Do you remember, you know, what did you think your issue was when you contacted me? I mean, didn't you think you were addicted?
Oh, I thought I was like a gluttonous pig and I couldn't stop stuffing. I thought that I was eating to stuff my feelings down because my life was so wrong. Everything was fucked up with my life.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, right? That wasn't the issue.
No, and I even told you, like, I've got this great life at home, you know, like, I do. I feel very fortunate. with my children and I love my family. I love everything about them. They're wonderful. And, here's something that came up for me that just really hit home. It's like, like I think when we talked about, like, I wanted to go on a protocol so I could get back to where I was because I felt comfortable in my skin there, more comfortable than where I was now, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. So the last 10 years of my life, with my children, I've been at that weight, right? And I've been, it just wasn't natural. I had to, like, fight for it and work out, this and that, whatever. But I was thinking, oh my God, what all, I like put it in a ball, like all the money and all the energy and the planning and the this and the guilt and the that and the failing and all that stuff wrapped around that same weight that I stayed at for a decade, right? And who knew that I would end up, completely, higher than those numbers. And then I only know that because of my clothing size, right? That who knew that I would end up accepting myself bigger than that and letting go of all of that, and what a waste that was. Just to put it in a ball and kick it away and think of all the the suffering and the lack of presence and the fakeness. And I think I'm over that, but it was that was like the biggest shock for me, was like the fake pretentiousness. Like, when you meet someone fake, they have fake eyelashes, fake boots, fake teeth, fake, they've got Gucci purse, they've got everything, like the little nails.
It's all the facade. It's all of the structure on the outside that they are using as like a model or they're acting. It's a total act, and they're using the predictable modalities of that character. They want to look this way, and it's predictable.
But they go to great lengths to be like that, and it's still, to me, like that whole image of us equates like wanting to be like this perfect thing. It was really just, it was in our minds. It was unattainable, but it felt that fake to me, like as fake, like on the inside as that feels like to me on the outside. Yeah. Like I felt like not genuine. I felt like a fake person, like a shell of a person, like that was walking around in my body, like that. You know what I mean? Like it took over, like who I was, like to live my life. And my life wasn't real.
You became that character, and you lost sight of the realness of yourself. And by failing at the character, that's like the ego. Those are the things that your survival grasps onto, that it believes will keep you safe from death. And when it fails and you let it fail, this is what you ended up doing. It releases you from that character, and you go back into this space of realness. But it's better because you experienced failure without defense, without coping or compensating. You develop in that this inherent sense of ability to fail. I can fail now, and I'm okay with that. I can be. So that's what where you said, I'm just feeling so strong now. Like you're feeling the sense of authenticity and the strength of the ability to be yourself, even if you fail, even if you suck, even if people don't like you, even if, because you're no longer in the perfect character. You're no longer presenting this perfect character. And the crazy thing is, it was all in your head. I found your information request form. Would you mind if I read what you wrote me?
Yeah, no.
I want you to hear this. This was April 6th. Okay, and today it's May 1st.
Okay.
So it's been under a month. It's been 3 weeks. 4 weeks. Hi, Robin. I'm reading your book. I have a new round of HCG and will begin when I get back home to Florida in a week or so. After reading your book, I realize that I may need to wait to avoid another failed attempt. I am close to 50 and living away from home in California with my 2 daughters until next week. I have become completely unglued out here and binge panic eating. I have a pretty normal home life, husband and great income, business with 2 kids. Being out here is very stressful for me. I have so many issues around my weight. i.e. sexual abuse. I was a model, bulimic, and I cannot remember a time when I did not think that my worth had something to do with how good I look. Your book resonates with me, but I am afraid to fail again. I do fine on the protocol, but the past couple of times I have cheated, causing me to throw up out of guilt and fear of failure. So the bulimia came back. I am a complete and total sugar and carb addict. If I do not have those items, I do very fine with minimal cravings.
There's a drink with a Slurpee right by my bed right here.
I know. I'm just wanting you to hear this so you can tell the difference. I am a complete and total sugar and carb addict. If I do not have those things, I do fine. I do very well and have minimal cravings. I also believe that the fruit and coffee trigger cheating for me as well. My last successful round resulted in a 40-pound loss. However, we went on vacation right after P3 and I gained most of it back. I want to try again, but this time I want to keep it off and maintain in P3. Can we set up a time to talk? How do you feel about that?
It's funny because I just, like all of the things, the rules that I pulled, like the first rule was that I could never eat bread ever, or it would cause a trigger, and then I'd eat that shit all day long. Well, I have to tell you that I've been enjoying bagels with lox and salmon and onion, maybe every third, fourth day, because I enjoy that. I love that.
I do too. Is that Einstein bagel? Are you getting that at Einstein bagel?
Yeah,
so good. That's like my favorite.
And I'm fine. I mean, I'm great. I think the first week after we talked, the kids like to have a muffin in the morning because we're not big breakfast people. So the first thing, was, oh, okay, well, finally somebody's saying I don't have to eat, like breakfast if I'm not hungry. And you hear all those times like people say, oh, well, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. My whole family, no one's hungry in the morning. Nobody wants to eat till like 11. So I love that, but then eating at 11, I've been finding that I might eat once or twice a day, and I'm not really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, like I'm having a Slurpee right now because I felt like it. I don't have it every day, and I don't need to have that. And then certainly after that, go down and chow on a bunch of other sugary things because I have absolutely no craving.
No.
So it is complete bullshit. And what I wrote is completely just programming from
the diet industry.
And what I thought was real.
I know, because they didn't take into account
your... If I can say that and be fixed from it, anyone can. Anyone.
Say that again.
So, I said, if I can be fixed from that thought process, then anyone can.
Amen, sister.
I totally believe it wholeheartedly.
I know, it's so... Don't you think that is so short-sighted? I'm a sugar addict, so I've got to stay away from it, and that's the only way for me to not want it. But it's like, but as soon as you touch it, oh my God. And they don't talk about the issues with body image, the issues with shame around the food because you're trying to be thin, because you think it's unhealthy. Yeah. They're not looking at the actual facade, right? That's the image of health, the image of thinness as the problem.
Yeah.
That those foods you've been taught threat that image. They threaten the image. So therefore you can't have them. And then when I say that, if I said to you, you cannot have that Slurpee, how does that feel?
Terrible.
I know, right? They don't look at, they say that the Slurpee makes you feel that terrible, but that's withdrawals. Not that Slurpee is bad for you. You shouldn't be eating it.
Guilty and terrible and worthless and horrible because you had the Slurpee.
Yeah. So here we are. I'm tempted to have you weigh yourself. So here's what I want you to recognize, that it may not be, see, this is another reason why I was like, I want to record this because I want to get your response on camera.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm kind of like, I'm excited. Like, I've learned so much about my brain and how I over-dramatize. I was such a drama queen. Like,
well, here's the thing.
It's funny.
The question is, does it really matter? No matter what you weigh, whether it's 220, 230, 200, what if it's 190? Like, no matter what it is, okay? What if it's 230? Are you going to change anything?
No.
That right there is freedom. Because it doesn't, now what does that mean? What does that do to the relevance of the weight?
It totally neutralizes it.
Correct.
And at some point, there was some shift where I realized that it would be so much harder to go back that direction because I'm in such a calm space of acceptance of myself.
Well, you can see that it's not necessary.
On track.
Yeah, that the thinness was actually a gel. Yeah. Go ahead and do you have a scale with you right now?
I think so. I don't know. I think I took the battery out, but I can put it back in.
Let's do it. Why not?
Dum, 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 dum.
Exactly.
We're gonna do it with a tape. Here.
Again, remember the goal here is that you're indifferent about it either direction. So even if it's thinner, does that really mean that this is successful? You know? Because the thing is this, what you might be doing, and I think this is important for you to tell yourself the truth, is if it is thinner, or are you expecting it to be thinner because you're not binging anymore? Because you're not overeating anymore?
Yeah.
Right? So the key is not to expect that, because you're not doing this for thinness or body a body result. You're not on the protocol, right? We have successfully kept you from. It was hard. That was hard to do. I'm sitting over here feeling like, all right, that was a win on my part, even though you're the one who chose not to do it. Thank goodness, right?
Well, yeah, and you didn't even know that I actually started.
I know, you told me that last time.
Well,
so let me tell this. Let me tell the video. So she had started around without telling me because she didn't want me to know.
No, it wasn't that I didn't want you to know. It's just what ended up.
You didn't want me to stop you.
Well, no, you had said. You remember 2 days before Easter, and I had a really shitty day, and I was like, you know what, I can't do this. I was more with my drama stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had said to you, and then you sent me a nice email saying, I won't go in the cage with you. I will support you in whatever you do. If this is what you need to do to get where you need to go,
for it. Yeah.
So I said, fuck it. So I went downstairs, I pulled out my stuff, I mixed it, and I started loading. And then
we talked on Monday.
We had this talk, and we talked the day after on the day after Easter, and then the conversation was something like.
That was the 4-hour session.
Yes, it turned into one, and I totally didn't want to. I was out. I was in my cage with the door locked, and you were outside, and I was like, fine, I'm good. And then you started telling me about how, that this was not. That was, if you want to take the easy way out, that's fine. And I was sitting there going, I don't want to take the easy way out. It's not about the easy way. And then I really started thinking about it. I'm like, oh my, and you're going to end up, I started saying I'm going to end up in the same place that I'm at. So,
yeah, you got it.
So I went downstairs and checked it, all of it. So.
And since then, you've gotten rid of the HCG. You've gotten rid of.
222.
You're 222. So it's kind of what you thought.
Yep.
How does that feel? Yeah. How does that feel to know that you've gained up to 40 pounds, right? There's a big swing.
Yeah, well, I probably gained 20 pounds, yeah.
20 pounds. Okay, so how do you feel about it right now? Do you have a moment of like, oh, or are you like?
No, I don't have any shame over it.
How does that feel?
Normally, it feels good. It feels really good. It actually feels really. I feel surprised that my stomach didn't even drop or anything.
It's because, well, the thing is that if no matter what it says, you're not going to change this way of being, and you're not willing to go back into that cage. It doesn't matter. The freedom that you have is better than any amount of weight loss could ever give you.
Yes.
Do you see that now too? That this freedom and this way of being, no amount of thinness can provide.
Yeah.
It just makes the weight you're in completely irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Or how do you really feel? Let's be honest right now.
I feel grateful. I feel a little overwhelmed, feel whole. I don't know how else to say it. I just feel like I'm, I feel sad that it took me so long to figure this out because it really wasn't that difficult. It was hard going through it, but it feels like it was almost like being in the Matrix and finding out that you were living a lie, and that whole life.
I'm so glad that you reached out to me, dearie. I'm really glad.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many people who do the HCG protocol who are not out of the matrix, right? Like if you had reached out to someone else for coaching, they're going to be helping you how to be thinner and be happier in your thinness and the diet you should do after the fact so you can make sure you never gain your weight back.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I get that.
But so that's huge. Your response to that weight was indifferent, and that you're actually inhabiting this body in such a loving and caring way, to me is
for the first time, really
is huge. In terms of recovery. And if you can handle this body honestly, and you can handle letting go of the fake ego, right, that old identity, and you're willing to be authentic in the space you're in now, like what can't you handle, really?
Yeah.
Think about that. What can't you handle?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's just, it's like baby steps with everything, like, the exercise. Like, I just thought about it thinking, well, like, because the scale was like a constant thing. You're like on it 4 times a day. Like, did I lose a pound? And that's so ridiculous in itself because that's one of the things about the weight loss apocalypse that I really, really loved was the idea that it's not about the scale, because this is a medical procedure. This is your body's going to do what your body's going to do. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but the last successful time when I lost the 40 pounds on the protocol, I was traveling. And I was in LA, but I was so busy with the kids, and I found a restaurant where I just ordered all my food, and I'd eat the chicken and the meat, one thing every night, one lunch, one dinner. I never weighed myself the whole time. When I got home, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe the amount of weight I lost, and I was so successful on it. It was like almost sometimes like I couldn't even, remember, that, did I eat or not eat? Because I'm not hungry. And it was because there was no guilt there if my body didn't perform the way that, the protocol said it would or should.
No, you just did it blindly, which is how it should be done. But now, see, here's the difference is if we choose to do it at some point here, I think you need to stay in this space a lot longer. Don't you agree?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Because right now you're getting this freedom with food. Right, that's the other part. You're getting this freedom with food that is so natural, so easy. So don't you agree? This is the part that I told you. It's like, oh, that's easy. That'll come natural to you. It's just like the way it works. You lose, the eating issues just disappear. And the relief from that's massive relief. The food issues, as much as they are not the actual cause of the problem, they are a massive consequence of the problem. And the freedom from having that impulsivity, the freedom from the shame and the guilt around food, the obsessiveness about what's in the food, constantly having to argue for your desire to eat, that is a big deal. And so giving yourself the space and time to be in this space and to get to know it so that it becomes like I think that you've already started to recognize that this could become natural. This is going to become a natural state for me. It needs to be a natural state. Yeah, that just exists all the time, effortlessly, agreed? That you relax into vulnerability effortlessly. And over time, give us a few more sessions, and maybe I'll bring this up to where it's like, well, do you feel like you can handle this? Is this something you even want to do? The downside is that it could promote the old character coming back. The thinner you, that little bitch that was having such a fit in that dressing room. I want a better bathing suit, the one that you told to shut up. That voice may come back. So that to me in part is why to do the protocol, but you'd have to be okay with relapse. And
Yeah.
So it's not just the vulnerability of the body image that we want to see how you respond to, but it's also observing how you respond to the food restrictions. You know, the ability to do it as a willing sacrifice for the body and not a sacrifice you're making because you deserve a reward with weight loss,
Yeah.
right? That's very selfish. So this
Yeah.
state of being, when we present the protocol, the goal is that you maintain this state of being while on the protocol. So the protocol becomes a medical procedure. It's not for you. You're not doing it for personal reasons. It's actually for the body. And because it's for the body can determine and dictate what happens to it. You're not going to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want you even thinking about that right now. I know I bring it up, but
no, I'm not. I'm really I just got my life back. I'm really happy with where I'm at right now.
right. Could you imagine that we put that task on your shoulders right now after you just took it off?
No, I couldn't. I don't think I would. I think I would fail.
Yeah, no. I've done this enough too to know once someone gets to this recovery point, they need to relax and enjoy it for a while. So.
Yeah, well, and just I think really enjoy. Just enjoy. I'm sleeping good. I feel lighter, even though I'm heavier. So what? I just feel better.
Tell me, yeah.
I don't feel conflicted.
Yeah, and the impulsiveness is just gone all across the board in many ways, right? Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and another thing, I was a total shopaholic, and I've completely not bought anything at all.
Right? Well, because what's the point? Yes! There's so many people that come to me with multiple problems. They talk to me about the one they think they have, which is food.
Yeah. Well, I know, but it's not like I'm, it's just like I buy things that I don't really have to have, and
it's impulsive. The impulsiveness.
When I went to LA, and now it's just kind of like I just feel neutral. I feel super neutral, and for me, being an all black or white person, it's such a nice space to be in because it's very, I'm an Aquarian. I'm like, I should just go with the flow, and I was always like, it's either this or it's that.
So the black and whiteness that you need, that's not you, dearie. That was the character you were in before.
Yeah.
So it's important you stop claiming that I'm all or nothing, black and white. That's not you. That's
my thoughts. Yeah.
Those are symptoms. Those are symptoms. Yeah.
That, right? Yeah.
It's amazing.
But it's completely gone. I just feel very neutral. Like, yeah, whatever, okay. And there's so much more space to be in with my kids, with my husband.
Feels good, right?
When he makes, and like he'll do things that before it would piss me off, and I'm shocked, like how I'm like laughing, or we just giggle, or and he's probably wondering, who the hell are you?
Well, it's the real you. You're just not under survival, fight, or flight type of crazy train anymore. So if there's anything you could say to the listener, what would you recommend? What would you say to the listener?
Well, for me, it took me an immense amount of trust in you and in your process. And, I hadn't really listened to a lot of the tapes or the recorded sessions of people. I listened to a few, but I'm a big believer. I've always been searching, and I always was searching in diets or hypnosis or this or that. And then toward the end, I was into like it has to be healthy, right? So then I thought it wasn't dieting anymore. But with you, it was such a new approach for me that I just trusted the process, even though it felt counterintuitive. It felt wrong. Mm-hmm. And I guess quite literally, I think I sent you a couple of emails saying I can't be in this space. I need you to tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And you're like, you just do nothing. I can't tell you what to do. This is really just about you realizing that you're okay, just exactly where you're at. And it's so hard to let go of that other it's an addiction. It's a total addiction. It's an addictive way. It's a dependent way of thinking that keeps us from actually being present and living in our life and in our body today. And if I had to go back and do it all over again with you, I really would have listened to the words that you said about being in it, feel it. And, perhaps had you guided me into those spaces then, I wouldn't have been able to get there. But it was so organic the way that our processes of the first 10 sessions went. I don't know if it was super intentional on your part, or, because you're very intuitive, you know exactly what the hell's going on, even when we don't. But I would just say to trust you, Robin, and to trust the process, and know that just be kind to yourself, because it's very hard. But if you can get into that fearful place and just feel naked and fat, and let everybody stare at you, like it is so it's so freeing in so many ways that you can't even. It's a gift you give yourself, and just to trust it.
You don't know until you do it, right? You don't know until you do it what's on the other side of that. There's so much liberty. It's so much liberty in it.
I don't think if I listened to 10 people, I don't think I could feel how I feel without actually having, actually sitting there on my own and just being in that space. And you were the one that told me. You just stood up to it, and you were the one that chose not to go down that road again.
You did.
And I did feel empowered, but I didn't realize
that's when your recovery happened. Everything up to that point was surface. Some people do it with me. It actually happens while we're talking. For you, it was you held it on the surface for some reason. You did. And that moment you were like, screw it. You recognized the impulse to go onto you were miserable, angry at yourself. You recognized the abusiveness, stopped the abusiveness, and in that moment allowed all of those emotions to take over, breathed it in your lungs. You visualized it. You did it 100% without me, on your own, willingly. And that's where the recovery happens. I cannot make someone do it. I can guide them to do it. I can teach them how to do it. I can practice with them. And you did it. You did it. And that's where do we go from here? It's kind of hard. What do we have to work on now, All right, well, thank you for letting me share these.
Thank you.
And you've shared a lot in that Patreon account, a lot. So you can always go back and listen to those sessions.
Yeah, I will. Every single tape that comes, or coaching session that comes through, seems like that I feel like you put it on there just for me.
You're all the same. Everybody who's listening is pretty much the same.
We are these lovely women. We are all, the same. And that I hear so much. I mean, it's sometimes I listen and it's not me, and I go, oh, that's me, and then I think, and I'm like, oh my God, because what she's saying resonated exactly like I said it, and it's someone different, So it's
the same. It's the same culture. It's the same ideology. You've been taught by the same diet industry, so that's why it's so predictable. And the fact that we're so human, we're mammals, we're like dogs, predictable. So how we're coping and managing with it becomes predictable. In your case, you've had, sexual trauma in your past. Not everybody has that, but you're no different than the clients who haven't. So it's more so, this culture that I think is so unforgiving. So, all right. Well, thanks for letting me share this.
Yeah.